Hello everyone! So today I thought I would give you a list of 24 books that I am excited and ready to get to in the new year. They're not all new books. Some are previously published works, some don't come out until next year, some just came out. So pretty much it's just a list of books that I'm hoping are going to be 5 stars for me after I went through my to read list on Storygraph. And of course I chose 24 because it's gonna be the year 2024, so how could you not do that? So I went through, I noted a few things about each book just so that I could actually hopefully be able to give you some information. So the first book on my list is one that I actually just got sent the ARC a couple weeks ago and I'm so excited to get to it. I'm honestly shocked I haven't picked it up yet this year. But the only reason I haven't is because I'm still kind of like quite a bit far from my end of the year reading goal, and it's kind of like a long book, at least it looks like it from the outside, and so I want to make sure I hit my reading goal this year. But this book is called Good Material by Dolly Alderton. So I read Ghosts and Everything I Know About Love by her over the last couple years. Obsessed. I love her so much. The way that she can just like explain and paint the picture of being a young person wanting to be in love, failing horribly, trying again, loving your friends, leaning on your friends and your family for support. Like, she just like can do it so well. I know not everyone loves her, but I don't know how. Like, I'm obsessed. Andy's our boy main character. There is a boy and a girl. I believe that it's told from both of their perspectives, and I'm not sure, maybe different timelines. But I wrote, Andy's first real relationship ends, but he's not sure how his life got to this point. At 35, he feels like his life should be at a different stage. He just can't believe that like his relationship just ended. He doesn't know how he got there, yada yada. Story of growing up, heartbreak, and how people choose to see and tell the stories of their lives. I have seen a podcast in their clips on TikTok so much over the last like 2 weeks of these women who read the book and they keep reading little like snips of it. I literally started crying at a TikTok the other day because of the way she described heartbreak and like feeling certain ways in relationships, and I just cannot wait to get to the story. Like, I think it is going to be phenomenal. The second book on my list is called Talking at Night by Claire Daverly. I wrote, Will is Rosie's brother's best friend. They get really close and start falling in love as teenagers, but something tragic happens and splits them up. As the years go on, life brings them back together. I love a like best friends to being in love, like break up, come back together kind of situation. Like, it just is like very real to me. Like, they're, I think, the most believable love stories. Like, they seem very like deep, and like I think relationships get like deep and more intense and more serious like the more you go through things. And so I know obviously it's sad when like shit happens, but I also really like reading about shit happening because I think it's like real in a sense. So I'm very excited for that one. The third book on this list, I've heard a lot of people on the internet talk about, which has only hyped it up more in my own head, but it's called The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. Working at a bookstore in Ireland, Rachel meets James and it's love at first sight. They become best friends and move in together. Rachel falls in love with a married professor and James helps her come up with a plan to make him fall for her as well. So I think it's just about like Rachel and James's best friendship and figuring out life together. I've heard really good things about it. I know a lot of people are comparing it to like a Sally Rooney, just like chaotic friendship relationship type of novel. I'm kind of like sick though of like literally any Irish author being compared to Sally Rooney, or any like quiet, reflective author being compared to her. Like, I'm not saying that like nothing compares to her writing or anything. It's just like not giving a whole lot. Like, it's weird to me that like everyone keeps comparing just honestly a quiet Irish author to her. Like, it's like, can we have any, just like say anything else, you know, like tell me anything more about them. Book 4 has been on my radar for a good chunk of the year. I don't know when it came out, but it definitely came out this year. It's called Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. I read one Ann Patchett in college called Commonwealth and really enjoyed it. This one seems extra super interesting to me because it's about a family. I love family stories, family dynamics. I feel like that's going to be a big theme for a lot of the books I talked to you about today. So I wrote a family story about 3 daughters who come home to the family orchard where they grew up. When they're there, they ask their mom to tell the love story between her and an actor she once shared a stage with long ago. So it seems very like cozy, homey, like nostalgic in a way. Quiet, slow, soft family novel. And I feel like that's definitely like very winter read for me. It sounds very like quiet and just like I just want to curl up on the couch and like read a story like that. So I am pretty excited for that one too. The 5th book on my list, again, has been there for a moment now. It's called Hope by Andrew Ridker. It's 2013, and the Greenspans are the perfect family living in the northeast part of America. I believe like somewhere around Boston. They have a lot of money, the best careers, and the most put together family, like very polished, well-off type of family, until they find out that the dad has been falsifying labs at work, and it sets off a series of scandals that threatens to dismantle their family. So it sounds like the dad owns his own cardiology clinic of some kind, and he's falsifying labs for whatever reason, and it kind of like, I don't want to say breaks up the family, but I think just like dismantles the idea of like we are the perfect family and people think we're the perfect family, because there's no such thing. But yes, I love a family dramatic, just family drama, crazy shit happening. I love stories like that. So the 6th book on my list is called Sugar Baby by Celine St. Clair. The cover for this book is beautiful. I'm obsessed. A story about young women exploring desire, delusion, and the pursuit of a luxurious lifestyle by becoming sugar babies and getting paid by older men to spend time with them. Young women, I believe it's set in London, came from maybe not the most emotionally supportive backgrounds, just trying to live life, figure out how to make the most money in the short, like the least amount of time, so they can like live life and like be people and like do what they actually want to do with their time. So yeah, it sounds fun, but also a little dark. So I'm just excited to see how that one plays out. I also want to preface all of these. When I say I wrote, I put notes in my phone, and I'm getting a lot of these notes from the synopsis and like reviews and things on Storygraph. So I didn't like write these. So just so you know. So the 7th book I don't have tons to say about, but it's called Broken Harbor. It's by Tana French. It's the 4th book in the Dublin Murder Squad series. Scorcher Kennedy is the main character in this book. I have read Tana French for the last like 2 to 3 years now. Obsessed with her, love her. A good Dublin Murder Squad series book. Immaculate. Like, I'm obsessed with her. If you love a mystery crime detective novel, I think you would love these, because it's the perfect amount of like detective crime while being like dramatic about the main character. The main character always has some crazy life shit that they're working through. At the same time, they are trying to solve murders. So if you're into that, so it's definitely not really thrillery, but if you're into just like the dramatics of like a detective novel, I think you would love these books. My favorite is the 2nd one in the series. I think it's called The Likeness. But yeah, that's my favorite one. If you like the secret history, it's giving secret history but better. So just so you know. The 8th book I'm going to talk to you about today is called All About Love by Bell Hooks. I feel like literally everybody on the internet has read this already. I have not. It's giving conversations on love, but I think this one obviously came first, but it's like giving the same energy, and I loved that book, so I think I would also love this one. The 9th book is a nonfiction, and this one sounds so crazy and like so good. It's called Data Baby, My Life in a Psychological Experiment by Susanna Breslin. When the author was a baby, her parents signed her up to participate in a research study at the University of California, Berkeley, where her and 127 other children are studied, and the researchers are trying to predict who she and the other participants are going to become one day. She wonders how being watched under a microscope her whole life has changed her as a person. I think that sounds so interesting. So if you didn't know, I work in clinical research, and I'm on like the more patient-facing side, like at this point in time. So I interact a lot with participants in studies from the beginning to the end, and it's just always so interesting to me to like hear people's thoughts and ideas just about like the idea of research in general. So I think it's really cool to like see how this girl has been in this study, it sounds like practically her whole life, and how she feels like it's like affected her Sounds very interesting to me. The 10th book on my list is called Oxblood by Tom Ben. Powerful and emotional exploration of the impact of violence and grief of a family living in Manchester in the 1980s. Many of the men in the family are in jail and the women are at home struggling. I believe it's about like a gangster mobster family that got caught doing their illegal activities. Now the women are at home like struggling to make ends meet, live life, all the things. So it sounds very sad, but again, another family dynamic, crazy dramatic story. Book 11, Killing Me by Michelle Gagnon. Our main character is saved from a serial killer by a well-dressed woman who disappears after the fact. Our main character goes into hiding and goes on an adventure to track down this lady to figure out, like, who are you? Why do you know about the serial killer? How'd you save me? Like, what's happening? It's giving Grady Hendrix from the description that I read, like, horror, funny horror kind of novel. So I hope that's what it's giving. The 12th book, I literally have nothing to say. I Am Inflamed by Rebecca Yarrow, I think is her last name. I read Fourth Wing this year. I absolutely loved it. I was shocked that I even picked it up, honestly, but literally everyone online, people I know in real life who like sort of kind of read, couldn't shut up about it, like specifically at work, and I was just like really confused. I was like, oh my god, if these people who like barely read are so obsessed with this book or thinking about picking it up, like I also need to read this. And then I became obsessed, which again, I'm not into fantasy usually, but I will say I have not given tons like a try. It's just not something that really like appeals to me from the outside. So I was shocked I even picked that one up, but like wow, it was just like such a fun book. And I feel like I haven't read a lot of fun books in the last few years. Like, it was just fun to, like, get caught up in a story. So, yeah. Book 13 is called Love Bug by Daisy Lafarge. Lafarge navigates the intimacy between the human body and the many bacteria, viruses, and parasites to which it hosts. As a biology major, I love science. I love learning about the human body. So, I just thought it just sounded really interesting. The cover is beautiful. And I love when people can kind of connect science and like art together, and kind of like the more like data driven side of the world to the more like whimsical, like romantic side of the world. And like I know that sounds weird after like the description I just read, but like that is what this book is kind of like giving from the outside. I just think she's gonna be a girl that I really connect with that can like do both. Book 14, The Insatiable Vol Sisters by Rachel E. Moulton, a horror novel about twin sisters who are very close as young children, but when their parents get divorced, they also split the girls up. One sister calls the other years later, letting her know that their father died, and when the one sister who got the phone call goes to the island where they grew up, she feels like something is weird, something's off. It's bringing up a lot of like crazy, tragic, like funky feelings. So I'm kind of wondering if there's a lot of shit going on between maybe like the parents when they were younger that like the one sister kind of chose to like, not chose, but like forgot about because of like traumatic reasons. And then it's like all kind of like coming to a head when she goes to the island. But again, crazy family dynamics. So yeah. Book 15 I don't have tons to say about, but it's called Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. It's the second in the Alex Stern series. I read Ninth House probably a couple years ago now. I was dying to read the second book. Like I finished the first book and was dying to get to the second one, and it wasn't out, and it wasn't going to come out for like over a year. So I kind of just like not really forgot about it, but you know, when you like step away from series for a certain amount of time, it's just a little hard to like get back into it, but I would love to. So I just can't decide if I want to reread Ninth House or not. I think it would probably be good for me to, just so I actually know what's going on, but we'll see. The next book is called Other People Manage by Ellen Hawley. In the late 70s, Marge and Peg meet at a women's coffee house, which is actually a place where two women can dance together safely. They stay together for the next 20 years, but something happens that might break the two up. When I say something happens, it sounds like one of the women's extended family members have some shit going on where they might end up having to take care of some nieces and nephews, possibly. So again, like crazy family dynamics, just like crazy sad, tragic family dynamics, but also in a queer relationship. Sounds super interesting, cozy. I know this is a list for all of 2024, but a lot of them are giving wintertime reads for me. The next one is called Reckless by Elsie Silver. Honestly, kind of laughing at myself for this, but like, I don't know if I've told you guys yet, but like 2023 for me has truly been kind of like the year of like rediscovering romance. I think it's because a lot of people in my like actual like day-to-day life read a lot of romance, so they're like, oh my god, this is so good, it's so fun. And I feel like in the last like year or two, I've been kind of missing a lot of just like the joy and like fun in reading. I'm like, can't I just like get roped into a story that just like truly like almost like lets me escape from like my everyday life? I feel like I tend to pick up a lot of like thought-provoking, like heavier reads, sadder, darker reads. It's been so fun to get back into just like a good love story. Like, who doesn't love love? Because I will tell you that I love love. And I always have, and I really think I always will. Like, I'm truly a romantic, like, through and through. This is the 4th book in the Chestnut Spring series. It's about Theo, a bull rider, and Winter is one of the other, like, heroines, older sisters, whatever. They end up, like, falling in love, blah, blah. So, I have actually already read the 5th book in the series. Somehow I skipped over this one. I don't know what I was doing or how that happened, but I did on accident. So I need to go back now. And read this one, and I don't think I'll get to it before the end of the year. The 18th book is called Mame by Jessica George. Maddie is living in London and is the primary caretaker of her father because her mother spends most of her time in Ghana. When her mother returns home from her latest trip, she says it's time to break free from her family life and move out and start living for herself. So, again, family dynamics. It sounds like she's been the caretaker for one of her parents for most of her life as her mom was off doing whatever she does. I don't know if it was positive, negative, don't know. And she gets to be a little tired of her and her life and how it's going, so she decides to take action. The 19th book, I actually have access to this on my NetGalley shelf right now. It's called The Still Point by Tammy Greenwood. They said it's Dance Moms meets Little Fires Everywhere. It's about a group of young women who are all competing for a like prestigious like ballerina award, I think, and like the moms dramatics with each other. So book 20 is called Youth Juice by E.K. It says statue, but it definitely got autocorrected to that, so I'm so sorry I don't know what the last name is. But they said that it is a surreal, satirical stand-up of New York it girl culture. American Psycho means Devil Wears Prada. Outrageous body horror for the goop generation. And that sounds fun and funky and just like so crazy and like silly. Because obviously I feel like a lot of women my age are part of the goop, Glossier, like Starface, like younger millennial, older Gen Z, crazy skincare, health, wellness, nuttiness of like being chronically online. And it just sounds so dark and crazy and like so good. So I hope I get to read that one. I don't think it's out yet. I think it comes out next year, I think. Book 21 is called Piglet by Lottie Hazel. A story about the courage it takes to start again. Kit is about to get married but doesn't feel the relationship is right for her. So it's about this like grown woman learning about like her own wants, needs, ambitions, and not necessarily living for the other people in her life. And I think that sounds really good. Wonderland by Nicole Tresca. It's a memoir about growing up in Boston in a mob gangster family. Again, crazy family dynamics, but this time it's real. Book 23, The Story of Jane by Laura Kaplan. The story of the woman who founded the Chicago reproductive rights organization abortion counseling service, otherwise known as Jane. I love a historical, nonfiction, informative kind of book. And this one in particular sounds really good because I think it's written by a woman who was part of that group at one point in her life. So then the last book today I'm going to tell you about is called The Bee Sting by Paul Murray. The Barnes family is in trouble. The dad's car business is going under, so him and his wife start selling everything off and building an apocalypse bunker in the woods. If you wanted to change his story, how far back would you have to go? Again, crazy family saga. I had so much fun filming this today. I need to get back to sit down videos. I'm Definitely a lot more excited for my reading in the new year. I think after kind of putting some books on my radar that I'm like ready to get to, excited to get to, I know a bit more about now, I think it just like gets you a bit more, you know, in the mood to read. So I really hope to start off my 2024 reading a lot, and reading a lot of things that I'm excited to be reading, not necessarily reading because other people around me are reading it or whatever the case may be. Please let me know what you're excited to get to next year. I would love some more recommendations, some more books I need to put on my list. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.